Okie dokie, folks. We are finally here at the end of 5 hours and 45 minutes. Has this been a marathon or what? It hasn't felt that
Counting it
way. It's
down.
all I'm gonna say, I think.
Counting it
So,
down.
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure so far. I think the funny part is I was just discussing with folks backstage. It didn't feel like it was 5 hours or 6 hours, wherever we are at this point of time. Part of that might be adrenaline. Part of that might be a bit the coffee that's running through my veins right now. But I think a lot of it has to do with, again, the audience. I go back to the audience and how your energy can just be infectious. Because if you're engaging, you're having conversation, you're having a good time, for us to put together a show, all of this hard work culminates into you having the best possible experience. If you're having fun, then sleep, tiredness, those words go out of the window. So I really appreciate everyone who stood by us over this entire course of 6 hours, has had fun, has learned something. And of course, I'm joined by Sophie, who's also been right here right from the beginning, from the opening remarks, opening keynote, as well as Martin, who's just delivered our closing keynote, probably one of the best sessions I've had so far around the whole concept of AI supply chain, which I'm going to be deep diving into for sure. So with that, how do we go about doing this? So what I wanted to really do here is to do a little bit of a highlight reel. Maybe I'm going to share my screen, and that'll give us a bit of structure. This is basically just has been a fantastic session. This is just us chilling a little bit. So this is essentially closing remarks for today. Just a couple of things that we want to point out for you to help you take that next step. It's been a fantastic session, yes, but the work isn't done. The idea of LEAP isn't that this is a conclusion, this is a beginning. So we want to make sure that we're equipping you well enough so that you can take that next step. So with that, just a couple of highlights that I thought were really, really interesting from today. And this was a question that I asked Sophie earlier on because she was part of the opening remark. And I was like, we're going into this with a notion and understanding of API governance as a concept, maybe to a limited extent, maybe to a holistic extent, but we'll know more at the end of it. So my question to you actually, Sophie, is, has your understanding of API governance changed or reinforced based on what you've heard today? You've been to a lot of different sessions, obviously. So what would you say? What's your take on API governance post LEAP at this point?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's really changed. I would say it has evolved slightly. I think the main thing that I've taken from the sessions I attended today was we've heard about API governance, we've heard about AI governance, we've heard about event-driven governance, lots of different types of governance. So I think what I think we really need to consider as an industry is actually how we integrate API governance more closely into wider organizational governance, because there are so many different aspects of it and they're all kind of merging into each other. So I don't think we should treat them as separate entities anymore. I think we should figure out how we can integrate into each other's governance ecosystems.
Agreed. Was there any favorite sessions, by the way? Because actually, this is a question for the audience too. If you had a favorite session, which I know is a very difficult question given the quality of each session, but if you had a favorite session, maybe put that in the chat. Sophie, did you have one?
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed the panel discussion with Abby, Jennifer, and Carol that Sedkey hosted around API governance versus developer autonomy. There were some really good themes in there. A lot of the themes around how people and processes are the important thing, which obviously was what I was focusing my talk on earlier today. So yeah, some really interesting chat around kind of mandatory versus optional governance. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Perfect. For me, favorite sessions for this particular conference is like parents picking their favorite child. I know apparently there is one. I wouldn't know yet, because if I ask my brother, he'll say I am the favorite child. If you ask me, I will say I'm the favorite child. But overall, it's all good. It's all good. It is a difficult choice to make, but I think opening remarks and closing remarks were both really, really good. The keynotes on both ends of it were fantastic, because I think the opening keynote with you, Sophie, and with Kane pretty much set the scene for what we were expecting out of API governance and the overall governance context in totality. And then towards the end, we had an added layer of how you can bring all of these different layers together from this federated approach to API coaching, center of excellence, all of the different components that need to come together to make governance a success. And then the notion of an AI supply chain, which is, again, a very interesting notion in terms of how you think about the different elements around AI and AI governance going into the future as a very important aspect. Curious, Martin, in terms of if you had to have one key takeaway for people leaving us today, they've been around for a long time, they've learned a lot of different things. If you had to give them one advice in the world of API governance, what would you say that is? And maybe a bit of a tight plug. It's fine, we can do that.
Well, I definitely say find a better word for governance, because listening to that and I was like, oh my God, how many times during this conference have people said governance? Like, just have this little counter on the top, you know, like a tally, bing, bing, bing. Because it is one of those things, and as soon as that word comes out of your mouth, I think people just get sleepy, because it is not an interesting concept. I think it's one of those things that people associate with, I don't know, their social history class or something like that. So I think my key takeaway, I mean, to be honest, I was asleep for most of the conference because it was like 3 a.m. when it started for me. But the key takeaway I think folks that should take away from this is there's been this new trend. This trend has been moving on where everything went from centralization, like SOAP and all that kind of stuff, to absolute chaos when REST style APIs took over, and it got messy, and then it standardized again. We went back into the sort of area of protocol standardization with these binary protocols like gRPC and stuff. And now we're taking one step up. We're saying, actually, you know what? Let users use what they want, when they want, how they want it. Let's just embrace the chaos. And actually, to be honest, that's something we do at Tyke anyway, because we have this idea of, you know, radical responsibility, and everybody kind of manages their own time, and we're sort of very, very lax. We're like a hippie commune rather than a workforce. I think if you kind of look at your API strategy that way, you want to be looking at, okay, governance doesn't need to be with an iron fist. Governance needs to be understanding the chaos. It's removing the fog of war, and just seeing where the chaos is and saying, okay, well, now I know how to intervene and I know what to do. So that's I think the sort of main thing we need to take away from this conference is governance doesn't mean centralization. It means understanding and transparency.
Fantastic.
And of course, please, you know, we're the best API management tool in the business. And if you have an API problem or an AI problem, please speak to one of our most amazing associates, and they can help you out. Is that okay? Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe right now.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Governance Cola.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has obviously been really, really good. And again, in the interest of helping you take that leap, and of course, being the platform that we are, being the company who we are, again, this whole idea came from the point of view of trying to help people get that better understanding in the world of API governance. And of course, once you have that understanding, how do you take that next step? What are the tools available that will help you get to that next step? A tool or a company or a group of people who will be partners in that journey. And I think that's where Tyke sort of comes in quite strongly, as Martin mentioned. A couple of things, I think we do have that in the chat, but what's next? There are a couple of things which I mentioned earlier on. Obviously, if you're posting on social, feel free to do so. Tag us on social. Some of you have already done that. It is fantastic. You can tag me if you want. You don't have to. It's not a mandate. You can tag anybody from the conference if you want to do it. But, you know, just in case you like me, it's fine. Outside of that, we are also, as I promised right at the beginning, we're also launching the API Governance Fundamental Certification. So everything that you have learned today culminates into this certification. Now, it is fairly entry level, so you know it's not the toughest thing, so don't be too worried about it. As long as it's, and again, if you are, then it's an opportunity for you to learn a little bit as well. You've got a couple of chances to take there. So feel free, the link is in the chat right now, so feel free to just take the quiz. It's about 30-ish questions, reasonably simple based on everything that you have heard today. And go ahead, get that certification. That is something to brag about, perhaps to your peers, to your bosses, if you wanted that you spend these hours with us learning and taking this leap. We're also keeping the conversation going on all things API governance from chaos to control on March 27th, where we'll be looking at accelerating API governance maturity with Tyke. We're going to be joined by one and only Mark Boyd, who is in the audience, if I'm not wrong. I think James Higginbotham even referenced one of his maturity models around governance. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll have Carol, who was part of the platform engineering panel. She is a senior product manager here. And we are going to be going over this notion of accelerating API governance maturity with Tyke, perhaps as a tool to help you get there. So March 27, mark your calendar, link again in the chat for you. And I think Damien may be able to just copy paste that one more time. A lot of people asked about getting access to Tyke AI Studio as well. It was the world premiere of Tyke AI Studio. We are very, very proud. We're very excited to have that out there now for you to try it out, for checking it out, get in contact with us to know a little bit more about where it's going. The recording of the session will be available. Martin spoke a little bit about it. The link again is available. If you want to get in touch, feel free to use that link and book a session with us. We'll be more than happy to get in touch. Or if you just want to have a conversation or get in touch with us, there is that contact us right there. Feel free to get in touch there as well. Finally, if you are taking the certification, there is a way for you to sort of put that all on LinkedIn. And again, if you are proud about being certified, feel free to put that on LinkedIn, tag us. We'll be happy to repost, reshare, and let the world know that you are a certified API governance practitioner here. So hopefully that has all been a whole lot of fun. I think that's all I've got for now. I don't know if I'm missing anything else. Hopefully this has been a phenomenal experience for everybody. It has been a phenomenal experience just bringing these sessions to you. These were curated. We did want to bring in the best possible form of this API governance discussion to you. Hopefully we were just about there. There is going to be a bit of a survey that goes out to you at the end of this event. So do let us know how we did. If there is anything that we can do better next time, then let us know. I'm not promising a Leap 3.0 yet because I didn't promise the Leap 2.0 last time. But if there is one, do let us know what you would want to find out more about. What topic would you want to leap ahead with next time? Maybe it's governance 2.0. I don't know what that is going to be, but tell us what you would like to know more about, and we'll make sure to bring out the best possible version of that discussion there. Apart from that, the lobby is going to be open for another hour. So if you do wish to interact with each other, ask questions, give us feedback openly, that's also okay. You can do that in the lobby for the next hour or so. So once again, don't shy away. This has been a fantastic experience. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all the speakers who have been very, very active, engaged. Some of the best people I've had the privilege of working with previously, as well as people that have been working for the very first time. Once again, an absolute pleasure. And I'm hoping we continue to collaborate as we go along. The API landscape needs us, needs not just the speakers, not just us, but it needs everyone in the audience today, because governance is just that important. It's foundational. It's fundamental to everything that we want to do. These are the guardrails. These are the foundation for innovation. So, we want to get that right as best as possible. So you are the real champions. So thank you so much. Great audience. Thank you so much, Martin, for sticking around for this one.
Thank you, Buddha,
and
for
your
organizing.
inputs.
Well done. And the team. Well done to the whole
And
team.
the team.
Sorry. It's not just Buddha. He's the face of it. It's like you thank the singer, but not the band.
Thank you, Sophie, as well. And of course, a big, big thank you to the entire Tyke team. Once again, as Martin said, you see me here and putting together this program, that's great, but everything else that has gone behind the scenes for the last couple of months, making sure everything works as smoothly as it has, I hope, across the entire conference today over the last 6 hours. That's a culmination of everything that's gone on for the last 60 days. So appreciate everyone who's the entire team internally. Big kudos coming up soon. We'll talk about that later. But thank you, everyone, internally. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks, the audience. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, panelists. Until next time, take care.